Okay, in this exercise, you are looking for prepositions and the prepositional phrases and the objects of the prepositional phrases. So, what I highly suggest you do first, if you haven't done so in 7th or 8th grade, is to memorize the list of prepositions. Very important. There's a page in our book that has it. I'm sure maybe some of you know a song or remember in some way a list. It doesn't even matter what list you memorize, as long as you have a really good grasp on a very big list of prepositions, because then boom, they almost glow in a sentence. You can see them right away and you know right away what you're doing. All right, so I'm going to go through these sentences. There is 2 pages to this video here. All right, number 1, last week my Spanish class went on a field trip to Monterey, 140 miles southwest of Laredo, where we live. So on is a preposition and trip is the object. To is a preposition, Monterey is the object. And then we have of Laredo. Of is your prep and Laredo is your object. 9 times out of 10, your preposition starts your phrase and your object ends your phrase. Of course, there are exceptions, but generally that's how it goes. Number 2, Senora Ayala, our teacher, wanted us to practice speaking and reading our Spanish outside of the classroom. Now, if you look at this to can be a preposition. In this case, it is not. So you have to be careful when you're dealing with to. To practice is an infinitive. To plus a verb is an infinitive. To plus a noun is a preposition. All right, going back to prepositions. Outside the classroom. Outside is your prep. Classroom is your object. Number 3, everyone was supposed to speak only Spanish during the trip. Again, to plus a verb is an infinitive, not a preposition. So during the trip, during is your prep, trip is the OP. 4, we first went to the Museo de la Historia Mexicana and saw colorful displays of art and crafts and many other cultural exhibits. Okay, so we have to the Museo de la Historia Mexicana. Okay, to in this case is your prep and the museum is the object of the prep. And saw colorful displays of art and crafts and many other exhibits. I believe it would stop here. So of is your prep and arts and crafts is your object. 5, JD, Leo, Yolanda, and I looked around the museum and read the information about the exhibit. So around the museum, around is your prep, museum, OP. About each exhibit, about is your prep, and exhibit is your OP. Besides the museum, number 6, we visited the Barrio Antiguo, a beautiful district that dates from the 17th century. Besides is a preposition, and museum is the object. Then we have from the 17th century. From is your prep, and century is your object. Number 7, later we decided to go to a restaurant near the Grand Plaza, the big square. Again, we have a to go. To plus a verb is an infinitive. To a restaurant. To is the prep, restaurant is the OP. Near is the prep, and Grand Plaza is the OP. Number 8, Senora Ayala walked among our tables. As Senora Ayala walked among our tables, she listened to us order our tacos, enchiladas, and frijoles in Spanish. So in this case, we have among our tables. Among is the prep, tables is the OP. To us, to is the prep, and us is the OP. And in Spanish, in is the prep, Spanish is the OP. Good. Looking at the second page, let me just make sure I have the right pen. Yes, I do. Great. Number 9, we walked around the Grand Plaza And then we went into the cathedral, which was completed in the 18th century. 3 prepositions. Around is the prep, Grand Plaza OP. Into is the prep, cathedral is the OP. And then in is the prep, and century is the OP. Lastly, number 10. As we got ready to leave, we chatted in Spanish about all of the interesting things we had seen. So in is the prep, Spanish is the OP, about is the prep, and all is the OP, and of is the prep, and things is the OP. This here, to leave, to plus a verb. So to plus a verb is an infinitive. Okay? To plus a noun or a pronoun really is a prepositional phrase. Be careful with those. Okay, go back through, check your answer. The main point of marking the prepositional phrases is to pare down your sentence enough where you can then properly distinguish the parts of a sentence, which we will deal with in Chapter 2 of grammar. But we need to make sure we know Chapter 1 first.